before you get up for that final snack, I want you to know I'll be right back. DorkLair! Welcome to another DorkLair collecting video. Today I'm taking a look at the wisecracking, cat-snacking, Melmacian superstar Alf from NECA Toys. This is one of NECA's Ultimate releases. I don't collect NECA really. I've never been super happy with their stuff, but when they put up an Alf, I just had to have it. I mean, I was 9 years old when Alf came out, so like I'm like right in that sweet spot for Alf fandom. And like when I was a kid, it was such a big deal. Sitcoms were big. Like sitcoms were huge at that time, especially like in my family, in my household. And Alf was the best. It was so much fun. It was such a good show. And it kind of still had that kid appeal, but also made you feel like you were a little bit older, which is like perfect for a 9-year-old, right? So Alf was a big deal. It's not like I'm this massive Alf fan today, but this just hits that retro nostalgic vibe. I also wanted to just mention where I got this because this thing got in hand lightning fast. I mean, this is barely out. I don't know if you can find it in like the big stores like Target and stuff yet, but like the smaller shops that are somewhat close to NECA, so in the Jersey area, definitely have them in hand and are like in stock right now. I picked this up from Nerdzoic. I had pre-ordered it in like the day it hit, Nerdzoic shipped it out. And like, so I have this thing really quick, really early, but if you pre-ordered it at other places, just wait, they're going to be hitting very, very soon. And just real quick, my initial impressions on Alf is that I do very much like this figure. I think it moves really well. The paint, the finish, the sculpt, all of it is super nice. I don't have any issues. Like, I don't feel like anything's fragile or breaking. So a lot of improvements there as far as I'm concerned since the last NECA figure that I had, which was probably 3-4 years ago. But yeah, like this figure is great, loaded with tons of accessories. I got the t-shirt on there from the animated series. Lots of good stuff coming with this figure. Super funny, hilarious, a lot of retro vibes. Just hitting that nostalgic button perfectly. So let's get into this review. Okay, first up, here's a quick look at the packaging. Here you've got Alf on the front in a frame. The window box opens up, and then you've got some pictures on the back of him with the accessories, a little blurb about the character, picture of the figure on the side. There's a look at the top and the bottom. And yeah, I think this is pretty standard Ultimate NECA packaging. Okay, let's zoom in for a look at the head sculpt. I really do like that they went with glossy eyes on this. It just adds some nice contrast here. The sculpt looks great. The jaw is articulated, the mouth can move. I'll show you the like construction of the head when we get into articulation. It's really interesting how they did the moving head, and they were able to make it very puppet-like by constructing it this way. There's a mixture of soft parts, like this piece here, the lower torso part, I guess it's the hips really, are like, that's an overlay. Kind of reminds me of Storm Collectibles a little bit, the way it's constructed. Probably the one eyesore is the double jointed elbows, the way, you know, they have the piece in the middle like that. It's not the worst, but I think they probably could have gotten away with single jointed elbows on Alf. And there's a little bit of a gap here, but if you pose it right, you're not going to really see it too much. And yeah, it's a pretty good looking figure. There's not a lot of complexity to it, right? It's all fur, and then that fur has a nice matte finish. I love it. It doesn't have that plasticky feel. It's one of the things NECA's always really good at. Their figures don't look plasticky like Super 7's have been doing lately. These figures look great. Like this is a really nice finish on here, and you can get a look at the feet, the toes, bottoms of the feet have a little info on there. He does have peg holes on the bottom, but it's just a great looking Alf figure. Very happy with how this thing looks. And here's a look at Alf head on, just standing up. And I will say this, he is pretty big for a 7-inch scale figure. When I think 7 inches, I think like a regular human is going to be 7 inches tall. And Alf just shy of 6 inches, so definitely not in scale with like other 7-inch figures. He should be like half the height of a regular human, I think. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't bother me at all. It's Alf. Like, it's just a hilarious figure. But for people who are really like into scale, this is definitely going to be large for that 7-inch scale. And now I don't have any NECA figures to compare it with, but I do have some 7-inch figures, so we'll start with those. First up, we have a couple Masterverse figures. On the left is the brand new Masterverse He-Man from the Masters of the Universe movie, and on the right is the Battle Armor He-Man with the extra head that comes with the movie He-Man. And as you can see, definitely like pretty big next to some 7-inch figures. But still, like I don't care. Like, it's Alf. Next up, we got a cat and a roach. On the left is a Mythic Legions kit bash that uses standard knight parts, 1.0 type knight parts in the Balam head. On the right is the Mezco 112 Collective Hazard Squad Gold Commander Gomez. Next up, we got a couple iconic 80s cartoon characters. On the left is a Super 7 Bat. On the right is a Hasbro Cyclonus. And finally, here he is next to a Marvel Legends Green Goblin and a Black Series Ewok Tebow. And if you wanted an idea of like what size he actually should be, I think he would be closer to Tebow's size to be in scale with 7-inch figures. Alf was tiny. Next, let's get a look at Alf's accessories. He does come with multiple sets of hands. These are sort of open, relaxed gesturing hands. He's got a pair of matching pointing finger hands. And then he does come with 3 more hands. These are all gripping hands. The one on his right hand over here is the smallest grip. And then he's got a medium-sized one and then a big one that is clearly for the soda can. And then here's a look at that soda can. It's clearly a fake Pepsi can with Fusco for Paul Fusco, who was the creator, voice, puppeteer, everything. Alf was Paul Fusco, and that does fit perfectly in that hand right there. And he also comes with a pair of Ray-Bans right here that fit on him really well, and they go on the like in front of the ears, which is kind of how they are on Alf. I looked up pictures of Alf with sunglasses, and that's exactly where he wears them. So yeah, accurate there. He's got a pretty big bowl of popcorn here. He's got a cat sandwich on a plate, which looks great. Nicely painted. Nice little piece right there. Very character specific, but still really cool. He's got a portrait of Rhonda, his main squeeze here. And the frame is pretty nice. Like, the back of it has like some realistic qualities to it, and it's got a stand. So pretty cool looking frame right there. And he's got a bag of his favorite treats, slug flavored slime balls, which is absolutely disgusting and hilarious. And probably to me, one of the coolest pieces that it has is Willie's shortwave radio. And it looks great. Like, there's a lot of little details on this thing. The cord attaching it is, I think it's like a softer plastic, like a vinyl. It's not like fabric, or it's not a bendy wire or anything like that, but pretty cool looking shortwave radio. And this is definitely something I think people could use in their dioramas and stuff beyond just Alf. And last but not least, the articulation on Alf. I'm very happy with the way this figure moves. It's pretty nice and it feels like great quality. I just love the feel of it in my hands. It's a fun figure to play with. So you can tilt his head up quite a bit and down a good amount, and he can cock side to side, and he can twist his head all the way around. And one of the neat things about the construction of this figure is that these are not on hinges. These are on ball joints. So there's a lot of different ranges you can do. There's like, you can see like the neck piece is one piece, then the head is on a double ball into the neck, and then this jaw is on a ball joint into the front of the neck there. So like you could turn things side to side and get that like kind of like that puppety sort of thing going on where the puppeteers kind of move the mouths in weird ways, you know? So they did a good job of recreating that puppetiness of Alf. The arm is on a hinge that can swing up to a T-pose and then all the way up and around. And you've got these double jointed elbows. And again, this is probably the worst looking part of the figure are these double elbows, but you know, they give them a pretty good range of motion. So there's that. And there's some twisting action there, but they're not circular. So they're not going to twist all the way around. There's just a little bit of action. The wrists are on a hinge and swivel, and they all have the horizontal hinge. And then another place where things can get a little bit ugly, I feel like it sits slightly high and would benefit from being a little bit lower, is up in this torso. But again, it's like a double ball joint, and he can crunch forward a little bit. He can crunch way back, but you're going to get gap. And this is what I'm talking about here. You're going to get a little bit of gap if you go all the way back. So, you know, maybe bring him back to like to there without seeing gap. And then you can bring him forward and there's really not much gap in the back. The legs can kick out into the splits. There's a ball joint and an upper thigh twist in there, and he can kick forward a little bit, back a little bit. There's a single jointed knee and an ankle rocker that can rock a little bit back and forth. And then there's a hinge, but you don't get a ton of range at that point. But he can kind of rock out and do some wider stances. So not too bad in those big, giant, bulky feet right there. Anyway, I am very happy with how this Alf action figure came out. It's just got so much character, loaded with accessories, a lot of fun, and it looks great and feels good in hand. Like, it's a fun figure to play with. I will be proudly displaying it along with my other random, like, one-offs that I have, you know, like things where a lot of companies will just make one of some kind of, like, franchise, like my Mezco Planet of the Apes and things like that. But or maybe I will put this with my Cosmic Legions. I feel like there would be an episode where Alf is imprisoned on Volcatar and would annoy the heck out of High Warden Slog, and that's how like Ziri and the gang would escape. So yeah, Alf is gonna definitely be in my Cosmic Legions. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and until next time, may the Force be with you.